on the U.S. and South Korean relationship, I spoke to Phil Eskeland from the Korea Economic Institute of America. He's the Executive Director of Operations and Policy. I asked him about the significance of relations between the two countries.
It's important because Korea is now America's sixth largest trading partner. And that's unbelievable when you consider that 50 years ago, Korea was a very impoverished country and was actually a U.S. foreign aid recipient. Now, Korea is also our 16th largest foreign direct investor, employing over 32,000 Americans. And I had the pleasure of visiting two of those facilities when I was in Dallas, and I saw all the Americans working there. So Korea is making a positive investment in the United States.
Now, President Park is obviously here visiting with President Obama. What would you say are the main areas of cooperation between the two countries?
Well, the top area is on the security front and deterring aggression, particularly from North Korea. It's also on the economic front, as talked about before, the growing trade relationship, but it's also growing more into a fruitful relationship on a variety of global issues, such as global health, climate change, peacekeeping, and space. And
as you mentioned, trade is a key area of cooperation between these two countries, and the South Korean Free Trade Agreement was enacted. It's been a couple of years. How has that been viewed by both countries?
Generally speaking, it's been viewed positively by both countries, much to the dismay of maybe some of the detractors that argued against it some years back, because exports from both countries have gone up to each respective countries. And some of the dire predictions didn't come true. And then it's actually resulted in setting the groundwork for the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement.
Now, speaking of the TPP, President Park said South Korea will be a natural trade partner for the TPP, but Korea is not actually a part of it. How likely do you think it is that they'll eventually join the TPP?
Oh, I think it's very likely. We just got to get through the process of getting it ratified, probably first by the United States and then Japan, and implemented in other countries. But once that's done, Korea is a natural candidate to be the first tranche to get in, because TPP is modeled on CORUS, so there isn't a lot more that Korea would have to do to comply with it.
And why do you think they didn't join initially? Why do you think they weren't part of the initial countries who were involved?
Well, there's speculation, but there's a variety of reasons. One is that Korea just completed a series of mega FTAs, and they might have been, they didn't want to exhaust their domestic constituency about another FTA. The other interesting item is that the trade portfolio of the Korean government shifted from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a more internationally minded department, and it moved to an agency that was more domestically focused. And so there was a natural process of reviewing the decision to join TPP. But unfortunately, the window of opportunity closed during the internal debate between the administrations in the Korean government.
Now, as we look at the ROK's economy, and we also talk about China's economic slowdown, how do you think their economy will be impacted by China's slowdown?
It will be impacted. In fact, it has been impacted these last few months. Korean exports to China decreased by 9% in August. But there's a general global slowdown too. In fact, Korea's overall exports went down 15% in August. But obviously there's a disproportional effect with, between Korea and China, because China is Korea's #1 trading partner. But a lot of the items are intermediate goods. They're part of the supply chain. So it's not direct exports from Korea to China, but it's more in the intermediate, where things get assembled in China and then exported around the world. So I think it all works out in the end.